No one is ready for what's coming. We just dropped massive news yesterday on the creation of 21 Capital and their aim to outstack Michael Saylor in strategy. And Cantor Equity Partners is going bananas, up over 90% today as of this recording. Ryan Cohen, you better get after it, buddy, because the floodgates have opened. Reports are in. Exchanges are running out of Bitcoin due to massive institutional and nation-state demand. This is the tipping point, and there's no going back. Welcome back. I'm Rustin, and MOASS, that's right, the mother of all supply shocks, is upon us. Send it!
Of that was occurring. So institutions, sovereigns, patient pools of capital were piling in during April, which resulted in about a 13% increase in Bitcoin versus 10.5 for gold. And retail via the ETF were exiting. So you got to kind of ask yourself, what do the institutions know
Were the
that retail
institutions
doesn't?
buying Bitcoin direct? And how many of them are now buying via ETFs or other forms?
Well, hard to say. They don't, especially the sovereign wealth funds don't report.
Right, no, but you're
their
also,
holdings,
I imagine, seeing the ETFs buying. Because the ETFs should be buying on a
in the
relative...
last couple of days.
But the ETF should be buying on a relative basis on behalf of their customer base.
Right, assuming there were inflows, right? But the last couple of days, yes, we've had inflow. But should as of yesterday, should change today, we've had net negative ETF inflows. So.
Okay.
So the first reason is de-dollarization. The second reason is this tech unwinding of this big levered tech trade and Bitcoin trading on its core characteristics, which again are similar to gold. You've got scarcity, immutability, non-sovereign asset, portability.
Right.
So trading the way people who believe in Bitcoin would like it to trade. Mm-hmm. The last was, to me, the most interesting, which is, I spoke to a couple of traders who said, look, if you believe these conditions, these de-dollarization conditions are going to persist, you're looking at gold, obviously, first and foremost, but maybe you missed out on that trade. You're looking at that rally and saying, I missed the boat on that. So what other assets could participate in that market panic long-term inflation hedge? When you do the work, there's a very short list of assets that mirror the characteristics of gold. Mm-hmm. Bitcoin is on that short list. In addition to the 4 characteristics I mentioned, its mining scarcity, its mining difficulty gets harder over time.
Yeah, and you can add 2 or 3 more good things about Bitcoin that you didn't even mention. So, I mean, maybe it never is used to wire money or whatever you want to call it over to the Far East or something, but you certainly can do it instantaneously, frictionless, right?
And you can do it overnight.
And you don't have to, in gold, I mean, it's heavy, you better store it, you better insure it. I mean, there's a lot of things.
Portability is an under-looked at, it's under-emphasized skill asset. It's very, very hard to transport large amounts of cash. It's very, very hard to transport large amounts of gold.
Right.
You can't put $400 million of gold on a small disk drive, tuck it under your arm, and move if you need to.
Yeah, that's right, my friends. The tipping point is here. And look at this. When you have limited supply and nation states are flooding in to buy the dip, that's right. You got to ask, what do they know? Maybe they know the levee is about to break. $5 trillion asset manager Fidelity says Bitcoin supply in exchanges is falling, driven by public company buys. A lot more on the institutional front, and in case you missed yesterday, here's what went down with Cantor Equity Partners, Jack Mallers, 21 Capital, and Howard Lutnick. Roll it.
A brand new public company was just announced and is blowing people's mind. 21 is a Bitcoin-focused business that's going to be in the public markets. It's going to start with about 42,000 Bitcoin, which is about $4 billion. This all comes together because Tether, the largest stablecoin issuer, Bitfinex, a really great crypto exchange, SoftBank, Masayoshi Son, and Cantor Fitzgerald all came together. They've invested various amounts, and the whole point of this business is to simply go acquire more Bitcoin. Think of strategy, but now they've got a formidable competitor in the US market. There's no operating company, there's no distractions, there's no noise. 21 is just focused on buying more Bitcoin. The company is going to be led by Jack Mallers, the founder and CEO of Strike, somebody who is doing a fantastic job of going out and explaining Bitcoin to people and driving the Bitcoin brand globally into many, many people's hands. And so ultimately, a business like this is very interesting to me because what people are realizing is that Bitcoin is a long-term asset. Having Cantor Fitzgerald and SoftBank doing something with Tether and Bitfinex, it's showing the meshing of both the Bitcoin world and the traditional financial world. And so something like 21 is going to be important to pay attention to, not only because you have big players and a lot of money coming, but also as soon as other people on Wall Street see companies like SoftBank and Cantor Fitzgerald making a lot of money, guess what's going to happen? People are going to start saying, why don't we do the same thing? And $4 billion, that sounds like a lot of money. But in the traditional financial system, it's not that much money. And so my guess is that we're going to see a lot of companies like this. It's going to start with things in Bitcoin, but you're going to also see it permeate out all across different crypto assets. At the end of the day, people want to create shareholder value. Michael Saylor and Strategy, they proved that you can do it by simply putting Bitcoin on your balance sheet and being smart at the capital markets. I now think that we are about to see the exact same thing happen here with 21. Jack Mallers will be leading that business. And as soon as Wall Street sees that you can do it over and over and over again, you can create billions of dollars of shareholder value, there's going to be a long line out the door of people who want to copycat this.
And CEP has gone absolutely bananas, up over 90% today. And it's possible, according to this chart, 21 Capital will be using Bitcoin as a medium of exchange. They will be the first publicly traded company to use Bitcoin as money, store value, medium of exchange, and unit of account. Probably nothing, but that's just one company. This week in corporate Bitcoin adoption, Moon Inc. out of Hong Kong raises $8.5 million to purchase Bitcoin. Strategy, well, they added another 6,556 Bitcoin, bringing their total to 538,200, and Metaplanet added another 475 Bitcoin. Now they're up to 5,000. And of course, Jack Mallers leading 21 Capital with 42,000 Bitcoin. Where did all this begin? Because what we've discovered is apparently sovereigns and institutions bought the dip massively. Well, let's check out this clip from the Bitcoin Policy Institute. Just came out and it details the days just after the creation of the Strategic Bitcoin Reserve.
The innovations and the vision and the excitement and the knowledge base is in this room. There's so much to share with other people, so we can work together to make this happen.
The Strategic Reserve represents a stockpile of the most valuable asset, but it also represents digital property. It represents a digital asset that will generate rent, that can be developed, that can be financed over time, right? It's worth anywhere from $3 trillion to $106 trillion, depending upon how programmatic and aggressive we want to pursue this opportunity. These opportunities don't come along often. This is the once-in-a-century opportunity.
Bitcoin is like digital gold. It is a store of value, and it's easy to transport. It doesn't have devaluation. And so this is why it should be bipartisan, and it is something that will help empower people economically, and a lot of the next generation views it as the best use of storage.
And so this is now a serious policy objective that the administration intends to pursue. I don't think this is a flash in the pan, and this is just the beginning. We have almost 4 more years of a Trump administration where Bitcoin policy, I think, will be among the top items on the agenda.
And I view the Bitcoin Strategic Reserve as a pivotal moment when contrasted to the last century of economic policy to come out of our nation's capital.
Bit bonds are a win-win-win. We're looking at dramatically lower interest rates in the form of savings, $554 billion.
And Bitcoin mining can shut down their facilities, their operations in minutes, and then ramp them back up, all driven by signals from the power grid.
I think the story of the past few years is Bitcoin going from a niche interest into a respectable global macro asset. The announcement of Strategic Reserve that the executive branch of the United States is going to say that Bitcoin has value that's different than other digital assets, and has value that is worthy of putting into a strategic reserve for the long-term betterment of the country.
The story of humanity is engineering a better world, and I think America is the best example of that. So I view Bitcoin in line with the American story and the next evolution of humans engineering a better world.
Stablecoins can be the killer app on top of a network that it's open, decentralized, can reach where the dollar cannot, and can really complement US values and principle anywhere in the world.
When you think about the ethos of America, What are the set of ideals that bind together this great country? In the idea that no matter who you are or where your parents came from, you can achieve the maximum of your potential without any government or dicta standing in your way. We as human beings need symbols to reground ourselves in that ethos, and I think Bitcoin can be one of those symbols.
Bitcoin Policy Institute has become a thought leader. BPI has assembled the great thought leaders in America about digital assets and their significance in the future. The team in the White House that wants to help make America the great leader in digital asset. BPI is there present, helping make that agenda a reality.
And now CZ is breaking it down for you. All other governments have to be more competitive. My friends, FOMO is coming. Actually, based on this, global FOMO may have already arrived, hence the reported supply shock.
But I think it's clear at this point that, Bitcoin is a better form of money than gold. It is provably scarce, just like gold, but it's more portable and divisible. So you can actually use, it has higher utility, I would say. And it was the best performing asset of the last 10 years. And so for store of value, I think it's going to be important for governments to hold this over time. It might start with being 1% of their reserves, but I think over time it'll come to be equal to or greater than gold reserves.
Okay, great. Well, let's go to the next question. Let's go to the lady over there.
Hey, we have a lot more bullish news to get to, as well as the latest from Adam Back and where he thinks Bitcoin is headed. But before we bring it home today, look at our likes.
3 or 4 times, maybe. I gotta pump those numbers up. Those are rookie numbers in this racket.
Hey, don't forget to like, subscribe, and give us a pamp while we take a moment to recognize our sponsors powering this show, the Bitcoin Way. You heard the news. MOASS is here, and that means you don't want to get caught holding IOUs. It has never been more important to get your Bitcoin off exchanges. Get self-custody. Learn how to hold your freedom money with confidence. Visit thebitcoinway.com and begin your journey towards Bitcoin sovereignty today. If you're looking to get started, you can schedule a free 30-minute consultation using that link in the show notes. You ever try to explain to your friends that Bitcoin has no top because fiat has no bottom? And then they just give you that normie stare. Well, not anymore. Thanks to the Orange Pill app, you can stack friends who stack sats. It's the ultimate hub to connect with fellow Bitcoiners, find meetups, and discover every Bitcoin conference happening near you and across the country. Bitcoin is better with friends, and now you can zap them instantly all in one app. What are you waiting for? Download the Orange Pill app today, hit a local meetup, and who knows? The connections you make could last a lifetime. Big finish time. So, Coinbase confirmed on national television that sovereign wealth funds are buying Bitcoin, and they have been in just the last few weeks. And normies are still asleep, while nation states FOMO and U.S. states are still making their moves as well. State reserve race update. Missouri Bitcoin Reserve Bill SB 779 has passed the Senate Banking and Insurance Committee, and it passed with a unanimous 6-0 vote. And just in, New Hampshire's Senate Ways and Means Committee votes 4-1 in favor of House Bill 302, which would allow the state to invest up to 5% of its public funds in Bitcoin. This is all happening while foreign holdings of U.S. Treasury securities have fallen to the lowest level since the mid-1990s. This is happening. Do you see it? Do you see it? ETFs are on a bender. 25,000 Bitcoin in 3 days. And that's happening while this is happening. Fed's hammock. Fed could move in June if data is clear about the economy's state. Hammock also said Fed not afraid to move quickly if necessary. Money printer, go. Brr.
When I pulled this up and I saw Bitcoin had just went from a near 1 correlation and it's now down to a 0.53. My eyes are glued to this thing now. Is Bitcoin going to continue to fall, go below 0.5 and head towards 0 again? Because what is that telling us? To me, that tells me that Bitcoin smells blood. It smells the money printer. Somehow it's reading the Financial Times. It's reading Bloomberg. It's reading The Economist, and it's seeing fiat liquidity is around the corner. currency units are about to be abundant. They have to print the money. Now, guys, being more practical, Bitcoin can't read an article, right? It's a protocol. It's bytes of data. But more practically, if they start making monetary conditions easier, if there is more fiat sloshing around, the market that's most sensitive to that, the markets that's going to move first and perform the best is Bitcoin, because it's the most free market and it's the most fixed market. That's it. Period. End of conversation. No debate. So when I saw Bitcoin start to decorrelate and it went from a 1 to a 0.53 and I made this chart, I was like, oh my goodness. Bitcoin's not necessarily correlated to the stock market or not correlated to the stock market. It's both. And it chooses its times to decorrelate and lead when massive world events are happening. And it affirms my suspicion and my predictions. This is slight validation. We're not there yet, but it's very slight validation that Bitcoin will decouple this year. It will lead the stock market up. It smells the money printer. And we are about to go way higher.
There is a new monetary order being formed.
The IMF and World Bank serve critical roles in the international system, and the Trump administration is eager to work with them so long as they can stay true to their missions. And under the status quo, they are falling short. The Bretton Woods institutions must step back from their sprawling and unfocused agendas, which have stifled their ability to deliver on their core mandates. Going forward, the Trump administration will leverage U.S. leadership and influence at these institutions and push them to accomplish their very important mandates. The United States will also demand that the management and staffs of these institutions be accountable for demonstrating real progress. I invite all of you to join us in working to refocus these institutions on their core missions. It is in our collective interest to do so. The IMF. First, we must make the IMF again. The IMF's mission is to promote international monetary cooperation, facilitate the balanced growth of international trade, encourage economic growth, and discourage harmful policies like competitive exchange rate depreciation. These are crucially important functions to support the U.S. and global economies. Instead, the IMF has suffered from mission creep. The IMF was once unwavering in its mission of promoting global monetary cooperation and financial stability. Now it devotes disproportionate time and resources to work on climate change, gender, and social issues. These issues are not the IMF's mission. And the IMF's focus in these areas is crowding out its work on critical macroeconomic issues. The IMF must be a brutal truth teller and not just to some members. Today, the IMF has been whistling past the graveyard. Its 2024 external sector report was entitled Imbalances Receding. This Pollyannish outlook is symptomatic of an institution more dedicated to preserving the status quo than answering the hard questions.
And would you just look at that? Besson says the IMF is out of line, and then SEC Crypto Task Force met with El Salvador's National Commission on Digital Assets to discuss cross-border crypto regulation and collaborative sandbox pilot program. Translation, settling in corn. I don't know, guys. I think we may have reached the tipping point.
And, the fact that we had an end of epoch, new all-time high, 73.5, just before the halving, it's I viewed as a kind of confirmation that, it would have gone higher if not for all of those headwinds. And so, I think it's probably incorrect to draw too many inferences from the last cycle. And so, if you take that out, I think that there's a lot of positive news that $100,000 is way too cheap. I expect we'll end the year much higher, and we get between 500,000 and a minimum and a million during this cycle. So we'll see if that transpires. And I think the other thing is, people talk about diminishing returns and got different models. I mean, models are not necessarily that predictive, but stock to flow, power law, various other models, and they are this diminishing return theory. Technically an S curve, like adoption of internet, adoption of mobile phones when they first came out, things like that. They go through a gradually phase where it's kind of niche thing and it's expensive and very few people have it, and then it becomes a social phenomenon when everybody has it, and the adoption starts to get steeper, right? So it could almost be the opposite, right? People are calling for diminishing returns, but maybe there are 100 million people with some form of Bitcoin exposure. That can reach a tipping point when there are a few more people that have it so that, everybody's talking about it and they're starting to use it.
Look at this. This is going to be the greatest bull run in the history of Bitcoin, so you better strap yourself the in. ETFs have bought 25,000 Bitcoin the last 3 days. MOASS is starting a company to catch Saylor. 42,000 Bitcoin have been taken off exchanges the last month. Bitcoin is decoupling from the NASDAQ, and global M2 is going crazy. Oh, it's coming. When it takes off, it's gonna look something like this.
도널드 트럼프 뜁니다. 트럼프 직접 가요. 트럼프. 독주하는 트럼프의 관세 정책. 트럼프 쭉. 트럼프의 관세가 나스닥을 무너뜨립니다. 철옹성 같던 S&P 500의 수비벽이 관세 한 방에 무너집니다. 녹아내리는 여러분의 주식.
And get those tickets to Bitcoin 2025. It's coming in hot. We're just a couple weeks away from the biggest Bitcoin event of the year. Plan on history being made as Bitcoin takes over Las Vegas May 27th through the 29th at the Venetian. This is going to be epic. The production and quality, you think it can't, but they outdo it and themselves every year. You don't want to miss this one, and the Simply Bitcoin team will be on site. So get those tickets and don't forget to use promo code SIMPLY for 10% off. Are we at the tipping point? Let us know what you think in the comments below. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and give us a pamp by sharing the Sound Money Gospel. And set those notifications for the best in Bitcoin delivered to you daily. Dante and Nico have some heaters coming your way, so stay tuned. And I'll catch you all on Monday. Love you guys. Peace.
If you prefer to go down with the ship, fuck you.